is lesson 19, and we are back talking about intervals again. So today, this should actually be a kind of easy work week for you guys, because there's a very little part of the assignment that you have to do. So it's more about understanding, okay? So we've been talking about a ton about major thirds and minor thirds, okay? So major third has 4 half steps. Minor thirds have 3 half steps. And when we put these together, we create chords and triads. And a major triad has a major third on the bottom, a minor third on top. That creates a major chord. And then a minor third and a major third. When those are stacked up together, that creates a minor chord, okay? So to take a little bit of a step back, so we're not talking about chords. We're going to go back to just the 2 notes, the intervals, okay? So we have, do you remember that we have seconds, thirds, sixths, and sevenths? All of these intervals can be major, oh dear, that's an A and a J combined, major and minor. This can be a major second or minor second, major second, minor second, major third, minor third, major sixth, minor sixth, major third, major seventh, minor seventh. Oh, it's been a long day. So seconds, thirds, sixths, and sevenths can all be made major and minor. Fourths, fifths, octaves, and even unisons are perfect, okay? Maybe I should go to bed and just do this video in the morning because I can't even spell. Sorry, guys. Okay. 1, 4, 5, and 8 they can be made perfect. These intervals cannot be made minor, okay? They are perfect. You just have that one. Okay, now, major intervals, how do you make a major interval minor? What's the process to go from a major third to a minor third? We go down 1 half step, right? So the difference between a major sixth and a minor sixth is 1 half step. Okay, so for these intervals, ones that can be major or minor, we'll say here's the major. I did it again. Then, if we go take off a half step, right? We get minor. Well, if we take off another half step, we get what's called diminished, okay? That's a half step smaller than minor. So it's a whole step smaller than major. So major to go to minor is take a half step, add a flat or take a sharp away, right? So let's say A to B, let's do a third. That'll be easier to understand. A to C sharp is a major third. To make it a minor third, I take away the sharp. A to C is a minor third. To make it a diminished third, A to C flat is a diminished third, okay? Now, I could also make this bigger. And when I add a half step, it becomes augmented. Whoops, running out of room. So that would be A to C double sharp. Okay? So if it's a second, third, sixth, or seventh, it can be made major, minor, diminished, or it can be made augmented. If you were, even just the word augmented, if you were to augment your school curriculum, it means that you would add something in. Okay, so if your principal comes or your teacher comes and says, we're going to augment this class, that means they're going to add something to it. add something in. If we augment an interval, we add a half step, okay? What you would like probably better is if your principal or teacher came in and said, we are going to diminish this class. We are going to take something out. To diminish it, it's making it smaller, so it goes down by another half step, okay? Whatever that means. So A to C sharp, minor, it becomes A to C. Diminished third is A to C flat. Now, let's do sixth. So A, what's a sixth above A? Oh, but that's going to do the same thing. I'll do A to B. So major second is A to B. If I want to add to it, how do I make B a half step higher? So A to B sharp would be an augmented second, okay? What's the enharmonic for B sharp? What's another way to, if you play B sharp, what note do you hear? B, C, right? Okay, but remember, because it's A and B, there's only two letters, it's a second. Now, again, everybody's like, why don't they write just C? And again, it's just because of how we need to spell things for chords and all of that, okay? So I know it's easier to see a C and not a B sharp, but it's just the way it is, okay? In order to have triads and that kind of thing, you have to be able to add and subtract from specific sizes, okay? So A to B is major, augmented A to B sharp. How do I make it minor? A to B flat. That's a minor second. Okay, this is the weird one, guys. To make it diminish, I have A to B double flat. What is the enharmonic for B double flat? It's A. Okay? This is a diminished second. The same note. Okay? Now, if it was written as A to A, it would be a perfect unison. But A to B double flat is a diminished second. Okay? And again, you just need to know how to measure these. So on your paper, I show you, here is the diminished second, minor second, major second, augmented second. I do all of these examples starting on A, okay? So that you can see. Remember, you count the letters first. A to D is a fourth. Then look at the sharps and flats to determine the quality. Is it major, minor, diminished, or augmented? Okay? And then underneath here, I wrote how many half steps. So a diminished second has 0 half steps. It's a second because it has two letters, A and B, but there's no half steps in there. So it's really the same, it's going to sound the same. You aren't going to know if the person across who's performing is playing A or B double flat. You won't be able to tell from listening. Okay, this is just how it's written and what it looks like on the page. A minor second has 1 half step. A major second, 2. Augmented second, 3. Now, look down here. 3 half steps. A minor third and an augmented second both have 3 half steps. They will sound the same, but they look different on the page, okay? I'll probably go blue in the face saying this. Different letters. A to B is a second. A to C is a third. So a minor third and an augmented second sound the same. A diminished third is 2 half steps. A to C flat. That's the same as a major second, okay? So they share half steps. Oops, sorry. They share half steps, okay? You got to count the letters. Now, how I keep it all straight, because I am not great at memorizing things. Maybe you guys are the same way. I had to work really hard in math class to memorize all my math facts. My mom would drill those over and over and over with me every night through all of elementary school. Addition, subtraction, multiplication, division. I don't memorize things by looking at them well, okay? Some of you guys might be like that. Now, some of you might be like my brother. My brother could look at it, read it, and he would remember it. And he would remember it years later. Like, you know, isn't a diminished second? Look, I even have to look. No, half steps? Like, you might have that kind of brain. That's great. Memorize these. If you have the kind of brain, if you think like me, where it's really hard to remember things, here's how I did it. I memorized how many half steps are in the major. Okay? If you can memorize the major ones, that means, and the perfect ones, then once I know that a major second has 2 half steps. Well then, if I can remember that, I can just add 1. And then subtract 1 and subtract another 1. I can figure that out. So it'll take me a minute to go, a minor third has 3 half steps because I know that the major third has 4. Okay? So if that helps you, you might be looking at this and going, I had to memorize all these math facts and there's just too much to remember. Memorize the major ones and the perfect ones and then just add or subtract. If you can remember those, that's only 8. Okay? And I'll tell you even another trick to figure that out next time. Okay? But work on memorizing those major ones and perfect ones, and then you can take, you can go less, take 1 away of half steps, or add 1 for augmented. Okay? So everybody can figure it out and remember it. Whether you're the kind that just has a photographic memory where you look at it and you know it, or if you need to work hard at it and you can memorize a few and then figure it out and figure out the equation, you all can do it. Okay? Figure out what works for you, how you can learn it and remember it and stick with that. Okay, now look at the perfect ones. Actually, it's at the bottom of the page. So we've got perfect fourths and perfect fifths. Okay? Perfect intervals can't be made minor, right? But here's the thing. They can be made augmented and they can be made diminished. So, and sometimes for short, for augmented, we just write AUG, and for diminished, we write DIM. Okay? If you don't want to write out the whole thing. AUG, DIM. So, major intervals, capital M, they can go minor, they can go diminished. All of them can go augmented. Perfect intervals, augmented, diminished. Okay? So there's nothing that they can't go down to. It's just they're perfect or they're diminished. Major, minor, diminished. Okay? So this one you're going down a half step, down a half step. This one you can only go down 1 half step or up 1 half step. Okay? So look at the fourths. A perfect fourth is 5 half steps. An augmented fourth, 6. Diminished, 4. Okay? Now, some of you may have realized this when we were writing those charts where I had the half step charts. Okay? Because we were talking, look at minor seconds, 1 half step. Major second, 2. Minor third, 3. Major third, 4. Perfect fourth, 5th. And some of you fell into the trap and said perfect 5th, 6th. Okay? And you know that it can't be made minor. So there's kind of a thing right there. Okay? Look at that. Augmented fourth, diminished 5th is 6 half steps. There is no perfect or major interval that has 6 half steps. Okay? So augmented fourth, diminished fifth. And this is what we also call a tritone. Okay, so try this on your instrument, play it. It's a really interesting interval. The diminished fifth, augmented fourth. They have the same half steps. So it's going to be A to D sharp. Okay. It's a tritone, augmented fourth, diminished fifth. Okay. Then I show you this major sixth. Again, because they're a major, they can go minor, diminished, and go up to augmented. Minor sevenths, same major seventh, minor seventh, diminished, or go up to augmented. Octaves, they're perfect intervals, so they can go up a half step, be made augmented, go down a half step and be made diminished. At the bottom of your page, the second page is first, write the interval size. Again, I can't stress this enough. Count the letters. That determines the size. Don't count just the half steps now, because half steps, you have options on half steps. So count the letters. That will tell you the size. Then look at the half steps. Okay? And then next week, I'll kind of show you a quick way to do it, but you have to know your scales. If you know your scales and your major key signatures, this will be a quick way. If you don't, then it might make it harder, okay? But for today, let's just count intervals, count the letters to know the size of the interval, and then count the half steps to know the quality, to put diminished, minor, major, or augmented. And again, if you're writing that you have a minor fourth, you know something's wrong, because fourths, fifths, octaves can only be perfect. So they can be diminished, perfect, or augmented. Okay? Whew, long lesson. It's more about explaining it and making sure you understand it than sitting here and doing tons of interval work. We will keep adding on to this and reviewing it and drilling it. But you have, for this week, you have 12 intervals to tell me their size and quality. Have a great week. Enjoy the rain. Stay inside and stay dry. And I'll see you guys next week.